I recently turned down paid acting work. Not because I didn't need the money, I needed the money. And not because the project was bad. It's actually a project with one of my favorite producers to work with. But I declined the job because I needed to keep my self-respect and I needed to protect myself. And I want to talk more about this moment because it taught me something. It taught me something that we actors don't hear enough about. And it's a lesson about what happens when your money is late and how you decide who you are in the process of waiting and finding your money. So in September 2025, I worked 2 jobs that paid $2,250. And it took almost 3 months to get paid, this is the 3rd month, but everything is working out right now. I eventually learned that my profile had been deactivated in the system. So I was dealing with multiple studio staff members to get it reactivated. And one of them even shared that she had gotten so busy on another project, which I kind of understand, but quite frankly, that wasn't my concern because it felt like I was being told, oh, honey, we can't deal with your little check right now. We have bigger productions to deal with. And in the middle of all the back and forth, the emails, the waiting, the lack of clear answers, sometimes silence, I got destabilized because chasing money takes energy. And when you don't know when you'll be paid, your nervous system stays on high alert, especially in an industry that's already going through an identity crisis, less work, less money, more uncertainty. It caused me anguish. This job was not handled by an agent, and I'm actually kind of glad that it wasn't because all of my career, all of my payroll things have been handled by an agent, which always put me at a disadvantage because I didn't know how to handle these things. I had to find my voice, and I had to do it without being afraid of being seen as ungrateful or replaceable. I mean, can we talk about the mind game of feeling like you're overstepping simply by asking for your own money? The fear is real. And at the end of the day, it all boiled down to broken systems. They had different payroll channels, different processes of doing things, a lot of miscommunication, and a structure that placed the burden on me to fix something that wasn't my responsibility. And in the middle of all of this, the producer had no idea what I was dealing with. So when they reached out to me for another day of work, and yes, I could have used the money, I had to ask myself something honestly. If they already owed me $22.50, did I really want to put myself in a position to be owed more? Because whenever money is late, I think about Goodfellas or The Godfather. The mob takes unpaid money very seriously, and it made me realize that I should too. So I declined the job, not out of anger, not out of punishment, but because my nervous system has standards and they matter. That moment wasn't about money. It was about autonomy, standing up for myself, choosing long-term self-respect over short-term relief. And thankfully, once I explained the situation to the producer, they stepped in immediately. They applied pressure, they sent text messages, and they went above the people that I had been dealing with. And then suddenly, the ball started rolling. And the payment is now on its way. Not because I yelled, and not because I threatened, but because I stood up for myself. I stood up for something, and that's me. Actors are taught to be grateful, and gratitude matters, but gratitude without standards means abandonment and self-betrayal. If we don't set standards, the industry will test how much they can get away with. Professionalism goes both ways, and being easy to work with doesn't mean absorbing dysfunction. Boundaries are not punishment. They're information, and they tell people how to treat you. And I know firsthand the fear of, if you say no, will the phone stop ringing? But actually what happened for me was this. People learned how to treat me. And that made a deposit in my courage bucket, and that made a deposit in my business person bucket. The work that can't meet your standards will remove itself. And in this case, the work met my standards. And I worked with them again this past week. But what I learned is this. I don't need to burn bridges. I don't need to over-explain. I just need to decide what I stand for and let my choices reflect that. That's professionalism. And more importantly, that's self-respect. And that's the career that I want to create and live inside of. And it's not being difficult. It's being a business person.